Currently we have 2 records in a database. If you want to look at the other records, you use the Rolodex in the status toolbar. You simply click on this and it goes to the first record we entered. Click on it the other direction and we go to the record we most recently entered. You'll also notice that I've completed the data entry here and filled in the address as well as the email address and all the other fields. I'm clicking into these in case you want to type this in yourself, because it's a good idea to have the same data as I have in case we're doing a find later on or a sort, to make sure you have the same data so you get the same results on your screen. So make sure you complete this record. Now what we're going to do is, instead of wasting your time by doing a data entry of 40 records, because we're going to need a lot of records to demonstrate some of the features, especially finds or reports and things like that. Instead of wasting your time doing all that data entry and spending an hour doing it, we're going to import the data. It'll also give you a chance to show you how important this feature is, because a lot of you will be switching from an Excel spreadsheet into a database, which is much more powerful, but you want that data from the Excel spreadsheet. So you'll need to import it, and that's how you'll do this. We're going to actually import from a FileMaker file, but the concept is almost exactly the same. The only difference is you choose an Excel file versus a FileMaker file. So before we actually go up to the File menu and show you where the import feature is, you need to understand context. Now you're not going to completely understand it after we talk about it, but I'm planting the seed. And you need to understand that, and you'll really understand it once we get through relationships. But let's plant that seed right now and understand what context is, sometimes called perspective. What that means is what layout you're on. The layout you're on determines what table of data you're looking at, what records you're looking at. Now right now we only have one table, so it's not a big deal. But as soon as we go to our invoicing solution, which we'll do in the intermediate tutorial, we're going to have an invoice table and a products table along with our contacts table. And so what layout we're on determines what we're importing into. So you need to make sure you understand that so you can do the import correctly. So right now it's not a big deal, but let's plant that seed so you understand context, or at least start to understand it. And once you're on the correct layout, then you can go to the File menu and choose Import Records. And you'll see down here you have quite a few choices. We'll start down here at the bottom. Now we're not going to cover ODBC data source, but I want to discuss it a little bit. It's a complicated method for importing data from another source. You might have a mainframe with data on it, an Oracle database or something like that that you want to feed data into FileMaker with. Well, you have to have the drivers and all that set up, and you choose this and you'll be able to import that data into FileMaker and view it. So we're not going to cover that, but it is there if you want to do ODBC. There's also a similar technique with XML. You can have a data source, another program that understands XML and FileMaker understands, so they can talk the same language. Same with ODBC. If either of the products that you're trying to import from understand ODBC or XML, well then you can import that data in. Now Bento is a Mac-only solution. It's a little contact manager and calendar thing that is created by FileMaker Incorporated that you can use. And if you have that, you can go ahead and import that data into FileMaker. You also have the ability to import a digital camera, straight from your digital camera right into FileMaker. Of course, you could import all those pictures how you normally do it, and then say import all these pictures that I have in this particular folder. Kind of the same feature, except this comes directly from the camera. This comes from a folder that contains pictures, or the folder could import a whole bunch of text files. But by far your most common way of importing is from a single file, and that's what we're going to do right now. This would be from an Excel file or tab separated file or any kind of file you might have. So we'll choose that, and what you want to first do is locate the file you want to import from. We have a file called names. That's in the work file, so you can get that and do the same import along with me. Now, before we actually click open to actually import it, we're going to go ahead and look at what types of options you have here. What kind of formats can you import? You, of course, can import a FileMaker profile. You can import a tab separated text file. Now that is a text file with information in it, and each field is separated by a tab character and each record by a return character. So when FileMaker is importing and you choose this format, it goes, oh, tab, okay, I'll put this into the next field. Return, okay, that's another record. And same really with the comma separated, except that instead of tabs it has commas between each field and returns between each record. Then you have merge files, which are a word processing type format. You also have Excel. You have the .xls and the .xlsx, both formats. And then back, if you've used FileMaker 10, you'll realize that dbase files are back. They were eliminated from FileMaker 10 along with some other formats that were really old and out of date. but a lot of people really want the DBase back, so they've added it back in here. So what we're going to choose is FileMaker Profiles. And you also notice a new option here, set up as a recurring import. Well, we're going to go over that later, so we're not going to check that right now, but it is a new feature in FileMaker 11. And then all you do is click Open. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over how this dialog works in the next section. So we'll go ahead and end right here. Realize the important things to understand from this section right here is that you need to go ahead and realize what your context is before you do an import, because then you may import the data into somewhere where you don't realize you're importing into. So make sure you do that, and we'll continue on this conversation in the next section.